Welcome to the September 12th, 2025 meetup of the MuleSoft Architect Meetup, the Mac AI chain community, and the open source community of MuleSoft. We're hoping to bring it all together in this meetup. I put together a little bit of stuff. So I'm going to do a little intro to everybody about what this is about, and we're going to leave some room for discussion and collaboration too. So I guess I'll just proceed with that. So this is the Architect Meetup is hosting a meeting that we've been planning in the AI chain open source community for probably a month or more, right? Of trying to spur and stimulate all of you to become part of the open source community of MuleSoft. And I wanted to put a little more information about what we really mean by that. So open source is not something that's just about MuleSoft. 1983 was the beginning of open source when Richard Stallman started the GNU project and got the GPL created, did some legal work with now some of that is going on with the Free Software Foundation and Larry Lessig, the lawyer who made that original license. There's a lot more open source licenses now, but the idea was that he saw in the 70s and 80s that people wrote the software for the computers and shared it with each other freely, and he was seeing a concern that proprietary software was going to take over the world and we wouldn't have free stuff anymore, and he wanted to have that. So he started the GNU project, and that's where GNOME comes from, and the new C compiler, GCC and glibc, like a lot of what makes Linux work came from this project in the 80s. But of course, open source doesn't work with just one person, and that's why we're here, right? So in 1991, Linus Torvalds was a 21-year-old college student, and he wanted to make a version of Minix. He had Minix at his university in Finland, and posted to Usenet that he was making his own for 386 PCs, and used the licensing that Richard Stallman had created to release his code for this little operating system to the world. And you see what happened, right? That was in 1991. I want you to pay attention to some of these years, right? 1991 was the beginning of the web. The web was there wasn't an HTTP spec yet. So the web was just starting, and all of this stuff happened at the same time, right? So by 1998, the word open source got coined. I can't remember her, Christine Anderson, I think was her name. The people got together and they wanted to establish, because there was many licenses getting created. So the open source, it's opensource.org is the website for the open source initiative. It's a foundation established to determine what open source means. And that's what we're hoping to do with this community is create more open source around Mule. And so there's a directory of licenses on there so that we could be more formal for being able to say this is open source, this is not open source. That's what opensource.org is about, because not all open source has to be free software like GNU says. I mean, some of it is, and some of it doesn't have to be. And so the licenses we're going to be looking at for our project, they're not GPL licenses. And this is where you look to see what is an open source license. Is it the open source initiative? That was in 1998, right? 2005, Linus Torvalds is back, and he wrote Git because BitLocker went proprietary on him. He released Git as an open source project to provide a source control tool in 2005, right? And the timing is interesting because in 2003, Ross Mason released Mule on SourceForge because there was no Git in 2003, right? There was just SourceForge. So Mule, the original project, was an open source project on SourceForge, released in 2003, and then transitioned to the MuleSource company or project on the Codehouse repository, which is another open source community, kind of like the one we're trying to form, in 2005. And then he renamed the company and started MuleSoft in 2006 based on that open source project. So Mule, that we all are here to design our enterprise integrations with, started as an open source project, just like GCC, just like Linux, just like Apache. Ross started it on SourceForge, and then it moved into GitHub in 2006. And if you go on GitHub right now, you can see the commit history of Mule back to 2006 for the project of MuleSoft, right? Of Mule. So the AI chain project is a little bit newer. And you see a lot of the core team members here. It was established to make AI technologies accessible from this successful tool we all use in the MuleSoft ecosystem, to prevent the same kind of sprawl in AI that we see we used to see in enterprise integration. So for companies to be able to have the nice things that we have in our application networks, except let's do that with AI too, instead of having people go just have all different AIs all over the company doing whatever they want. Let's try to make Mule be the way we use AIs, right? And Mule is an excellent tool for building intelligent agents. There's some really cool videos and documents of doing that on the Mac Project AI website. So this project began as an open source initiative within people that are part of the MuleSoft company that are here and can speak for themselves. Some of the connectors they produce, we started with the AI chain connector, which was based on LangChain4j. There's a bunch of YouTube videos out there you can look at about what the history of that connector is. Amir did most of them, maybe not all of them. And it was a way to plug in, have a single connector that plugged into any kind of AI you want to use in your Mule applications, right? And this one got certified and went into Anypoint Exchange. And we're talking like late 2003 was the beginning of AI chain. Is that right, Amir? 20, yeah, about 2023. And from the beginning, AI chain started as an open source project that was going to be protected by those inside MuleSoft and shepherded through the complicated connector certification process so that it actually gets in Anypoint Exchange and available to customers. And that's a unique opportunity we have right now, is that the open source community can be connected with people inside MuleSoft who are able to do that kind of thing, right? That's amazing opportunity for us. Very soon after that, we got a few more of the developers here into the project, and the vector database behavior inside the AI chain connector, it made sense to make a new connector out of it. And this is RAG solutions with storing, and it's not doing the interface with the LLMs, it's just doing the vector database interfaces. We also had an Einstein AI connector, which is plugging in the Salesforce trust layer with Einstein GPT into Mule applications. Bedrock connector for the Amazon Foundation models. Whisper is the audio text-to-speech and speech-to-text, so we can make computers talk, right? And web crawler to go search the web for our AI applications. So these are some of the connectors that are currently part of the AI chain project. At the same time, I started Anypoint Cloud in 2023, not knowing about Mac Project, right? It was just something I wanted to host open source connector that I was building for Redis, and I was trying to build one for LinkedIn. That one never worked out. If one of you guys know how to do that, that's great. So I created the Anypoint Cloud project, and I noticed on the MuleSoft Slack that JSON Logger didn't have a home, and Matthias offered to help manage it. So I hosted it at Anypoint Cloud. So we've been doing both of those connectors at Anypoint Cloud with Apache licenses and publishing to Maven Central. And this was kind of how I got plugged into the Mac Project community, because they weren't publishing to Maven Central, and I knew how to do that. So I said, hey, why don't we work? That's what open source is all about, right? Let's collaborate, right? So we just had a couple of real connectors that people use, and a whole bunch of connectors that are not really, they're just ideas on Anypoint Cloud. And they're not AI connectors, they're just connectors, right? And then I found out this year that George Jeffcock started MuleSoft Forge as a reboot of an older project called MuleForge that happened at MuleSoft over like a long time ago, as a home for the MuleSoft open source community. And we realized this is an opportunity. So MuleSoft Forge hosts some connectors too. They have an IDP connector, and they have a PDF connector that is open source and hosted on MuleSoft. So we see a lot of stuff happening in the last 2 years in the MuleSoft open source community. So we can have community forks of the AI chain repos in MuleForge, right? And we've been trying to come up between all of these different groups. How are we going to do this in a consistent way, in a scalable way, to involve more people like you in contributing to and adding community connectors that are related to AI chain, right? So we want to establish some shared standards. We want to involve a lot more people outside of soft in the creation and maintenance and flourishing of the community. Whatever ideas you guys have, we've had some ideas of what to do with the community, but when you get more people involved, then we can hear more ideas about what to do with the community that we're building, right? So that's the idea of this meeting. Is we're hoping to create a centralized open source community at MuleSoft Forge. We're just at the beginning. You guys are here right now at the beginning of the whole thing. So we're going to onboard Anypoint Cloud and Mac to the MuleSoft Forge website and GitHub organization that exists now. That's in the plans. It hasn't happened yet. That way we just have one place for all the community connectors. We're in the process of establishing a governance framework and guidelines of how to get people into the community. What are the rules and regulations? Like, how do we determine who's a maintainer? And that's being formed right now. So you can participate in that. And then we'll have a central place that people can find not only what the connectors are, but the content that everybody's producing, the demos that people are making, what is possible with all these AI things that we're building, right? There's a central place to find that stuff. And then being able to foster a more healthy or more rich and vibrant pipeline where people, like any of you who have an idea, there's a place to get started. It's easy to figure out how to get started and to make a contribution and to be a part of not just consuming, but building this community and these open source connectors. So the idea that maybe MuleSoft Forge will become a centralized hub for everything about, MuleSoft open source connectors. There's a big opportunity here that having a partnership between this idea of Forge, which is just forming, and MuleSoft AI Chain, which is established already and has a clear path to connector certification. That's a big opportunity for us to be able to help get our ideas into Anypoint Exchange as certified connectors. I think that's a great opportunity, right? So we can have 100% open source connectors that are available and released independent of Salesforce in the community. And then we can have people who are able to identify changes that are candidates for certified connectors, and then we can propose MuleSoft Forge pull requests to the upstream connectors in Mac, and then the Mac team is able to take it from there and see if we can get those changes into the Anypoint Exchange. Right? Isn't that cool? So that's the idea. That's the partnership between the open source community and Mac project. So these are what we've got so far. We've picked a license. We're going to use the Apache 2.0 license. Some of the Mac connectors are currently on MIT. MIT is compatible and can easily be relicensed as Apache 2.0 because it has less requirements. We have a community channel. The MuleSoft AI Chain community channel is currently existing in MuleSoft Community Slack. We don't have a Forge channel. We think we might make one. That's one of the things that could come. Right now we're all asking everybody to come to the MuleSoft AI Chain community Slack channel, and we have at least come up with the way contributions are going to work by using the forks inside the MuleSoft Forge project. That's all we've got so far, and then. Well, I already described this one. So I made animations that we can just speed through. I don't need to talk to all of these. Good. Cool. So what we want to do what we want to now and involve you guys in is 3 categories of contributions. One of them is demos. There's an example apps repo currently in the MuleSoft AI Chain repo. Organization, and there's subdirectories of that with a bunch of Mule apps for demos of using AI for cool stuff. So if you've got ideas of using AI for cool stuff, we want to see your demos so that way other people can run your demo, plug in their own API keys, and do cool stuff with Mule and AI. That's where your agents are going to go, right? We're going to have some way. We want to have some way we don't know how we're going to do it yet. We want to come up with how we're going to keep track of the videos and blogs and articles and stuff that all you guys are doing, and then have a way that the community reviews them and determines that they're MuleSoft Forge quality or something like that. Kind of like it used to be for the MuleSoft blog. There was a group at MuleSoft. You would submit a blog entry, and somehow they would decide, all right, here's the edits that you need to make, and then it would go live. So we might want some kind of a structure around how we do content publication in Forge. We got to figure out how we're going to do maintainer roles. The way Matthias got a maintainer role is he volunteered a lot, and I just finally gave him all the rights, and now he's the maintainer. We might want a little more rules than that in the future. And then how are we going to decide what new connectors are in, right? Because people could come up with all these ideas for connectors, so we might want some way to determine what the connectors are. Yeah. So this is the idea, and this is the invitation for you guys to join us. I have a Google form that I didn't get prepared now for you to join. So if you already filled out the form, you know what I'm talking about. If you didn't, I'm about to put a link in the Slack to become a part of this MuleSoft AI Chain open source community. I have it right here. Where's the link? The link. Copy. Yeah. This is link to join the community. For fill it out yet. This is going to give me your email address and a few questions about open source contribution. And whatever we do to create the formal structure of the community, these emails are going to be used to communicate with you about it. So that way we can have a separate community from the MuleSoft Architect Meetup, right? So you're all invited to come. So I have, that's what I prepared to talk about. And I think Victoria she had some specifics. I saw her deck, but I don't want to steal her thunder. She had some specifics about some upcoming issues that could be worked on. I don't know if anybody wants to share something about that. Right? I could pull her deck up. Has anybody seen it on the core team?
No, I think let's wait for her. Maybe we can open up for questions. She will join in 9 minutes, so probably.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yep.
Any comments, questions? Anyone got your hands on? Got some ideas about how we should do this? Any concerns too? I mean, we're trying to get your feedback because we're just coming up with this as we go, guys.
I have a question related with the collaboration. How we are going to collaborate among the teams? Like if it's a big team, is.
Well, the idea in open source, I think, is that new contributors are just going to they're going to make a fork. Actually, I did have that. I sped through that part. So let me go back and do that again. Or not again, but for the first time. So if I hit escape, I could probably, this is Prezi using it, but I'm learning how it works. Yeah. So the idea for a brand new contributor is can I just do like this? Well, yeah, very good. You create a fork in your own repo when you're new, right? And so it's a whole separate fork of the Forge repo, right? And then you make your improvements in your fork, and that'll usually be on a branch. You're going to make a branch, and then you're going to you'll give a good name to the branch, and you make your improvement. This is specifically for code. There's 3 types of contributions. I'm just talking about code right now. And there's a couple of GitHub issues that Victoria is going to present that are needing to be done right now. I saw a couple more come in my email just the last 2 days. They were like streaming on the inference connector. That looked interesting. And then, so you'll make your idea for how to do it, and you'll create your branch, and it'll be in your fork, right? And then you make a pull request against the Forge repo, and now your branch it shows up in the pull request on the Forge repo, and we can discuss it, right? So the maintainers can put comments on it, and so that's the general new way to make a contribution. And then once the pull request is closed, the code will get merged, and it'll go into a release of the connector. So we've got a pretty good idea on code contributions. And then what I meant to say in this end of this presentation was that for the other 2 types of contributions, the content and the demos, we have not yet really defined how are we going to do where is that? How are we going to do the contributions, right? And we'd love some input on that. So like, let's talk about demos. Like, let's start with anybody. How would we do?
Maybe Ryan, before to move to demos, I just want to clarify that maybe we can distinguish between two major type of contribution when it comes to code. One is about, let's say, contributing to the existing Mule AI chain connectors. But on the other side, you can even think about creating completely brand new connectors. And we will define, let's say, what the procedure is in both the cases.
Yeah, the creation of new connectors and getting them into Forge has not been. We haven't come up with a policy about that yet. Yeah, I think so. Contributions to existing AI chain connectors is the one we were talking about. Is that what you're trying to clarify, Tommaso? Yeah. And I think we can use that same kind of the demos are less. There's less need to have heavy review on the demos, right? We want to see creativity on the demos, and so for the for the SDK for connector code, there's all these practices. Like, there's a lot of rules about how to make good connector code, right? For demos, that's not the case. So we're not going to need to have as much of a strict review process for the demos, right? So we can probably come up with something a little less cumbersome to get the demos out there. And I think the demos and the content fit together really well, right? So if somebody wants to make a video, they can work with a demo author who makes a cool demo, and then somebody who wants to make like a video about it can do the demo on the video. So there might be some opportunity for people to work together in a quicker pace, right, with demos and content.
Just quickly, Ryan. So when we talk about demos, we are also talking about some demos as Mule project, which can be shared, right?
Yeah, you want me to pull them up? These are the ones you guys started. You did a great job. I love it. So
exactly. So this would be basically also the approach if you want to get it into the Mac repository. Maybe you can fork that example app repository and add your demos there. So it would be, the guidelines are there how to describe the README per demo. That would be the minimum requirement I would suggest.
Yeah, and if you guys haven't got your hands yet on these demos, if you're trying to figure out how to get started and you're already a Mule developer, you want to go to this repo. This is great. You pick one of these demos that's actually cool, like maybe something that makes you interested. Like this one needs a README, but like something that like gets you excited, and then download it and run it and plug in your stuff to it and get it to work, right? Like the voice demo, So find whatever tickles you and start with a demo. I would say for the newcomers in here, right? For the experienced folks in here, or for the Java developers, I'm gonna do a study group this afternoon at 5 Eastern. So I'll probably put a link to that at the end, just about beginning connector development, like how do you do the Mule SDK. I'll put that link in here before the end of the meeting when I find it, or if somebody from Integration Quest is here, put it in the chat. It's our study group. But I mean there's two ways to get started, right? Can you think of anybody who's on the Mac team? You guys, any other ways people could get started? There's a bunch of questions in the chat. Let me scroll back up. All right, here we go.
Hey, Ryan, just as an FYI for everybody, I thought the YouTube videos were really good to get started. That's how I played around with the Mac connector. I thought the YouTube video was awesome. That's all.
Yeah, the YouTube videos are on macproject.ai. So macproject.ai is kind of the current website and going to continue to be the website for the AI chain community. And so there's a lot of good, you can find the videos organized on here. Thanks, Harish. Yeah.
Can you share this link? So this is looking good.
Yeah. This is really good for getting started. Yep.
Yeah. Actually, I also started getting to Intro, but I faced some issues and I moved to some other context. So I think this would be a good idea, like to onboard ourselves on these examples and have some examples created, discuss with the team members, okay, onboard them also with our teams, and then start getting wrap up on these AI chain and come up with the industry problems that we can try to solve, club all those use cases, right, and see which use cases is mostly industries will refer and in a faster way, and how it can help, what kind of the input output will come after using this connector, right, have more use cases to solve the industry problem using this, like I am trying MCP from last 15-20 days. I'm trying to solve a lot of problem, but I still need to onboard on this one. So that's like one, if we all can see, okay, like I have onboarded on this example and this is really work fine, and then keep looking into, getting on board on those connectors, and trying to solve a use cases, simple use cases, and then keep building on the new use cases.
Yeah, I think that would be good. Yeah, so you want to get involved in the use cases and demos, and you're welcome aboard. Did you already? Did you fill out the form? The Google form?
I filled the form. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
All right, we will definitely talk then.
Yes.
I think I missed a question. So Kareem posted, is there a board like Eclipse Foundation open for companies to contribute? I have started my research in, I'm willing to open a U.S. nonprofit 501c3 to hold the copyrights if we need to do contributor licenses agreements. I have not got that figured out yet, but I'm willing to be the guy if I need to, or if somebody has one. But I think nonprofit would have to have a board if we did that. So that's on the table, but it isn't done yet. So I think we may need to, especially for the certification process, we have to manage the legal copyright for everybody's contributions, and I'm willing to figure that out, but I have not yet figured it out. So thanks for that question, Kareem. I think we got Venugopal. I think we got your question about the best practices and rules, right? Let me see.
Yes, Riyadh.
Yeah.
So that when you contribute documentation or use cases or forking and creating a new connector, so I think we need to follow some best practices and rules. So I thought, is there any?
Yeah, and I think we're going to have to come up with tiered expectations, because when a brand new connector comes out, it's very hard to meet all of these best practices in the very beginning. But it's important we don't tell the community that a connector is ready, right? Unless we've met all these practices. So that we're going to have to come up with tiers of expectations, I think.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, one issue that I face when I'm talking to our CTO and others leaders in the industry, right? The more they are worried about the enterprise data, right? The thing you start exposing your data to AI and tool. Right? So how it is getting created? It is going outside the enterprise, or is there anyone who will have access? So what is any governance on this one? How the data is secured?
That the big benefit of the MuleSoft AI API gateways, and and Einstein Trust Layer also is meant to address that. So I don't think these connectors have that responsibility. But I do think, if you were talking to your CISO or something, I went to this screen to show that the number of back ends that these inference connectors, some of these can be on premise, and then that's just your own models, and you don't have to worry about exfiltration.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's an important question to ask, right? Now there's if I had the MuleSoft salespeople here, they would talk all about that's what Flex Gateway can do, and that's another important part of the puzzle, right? Yeah. Communication channel or forum. Yeah, right now we're going to consolidate. I'll just pull it up. We're going to centralize for now in the MuleSoft community Slack. This is it. and there's a channel. We already have an Architect Meetup channel. That's the meeting you're in right now, right? And there's a MuleSoft AI chain community, and this is where this is the room where we're going to keep this community. And Francis is here, so welcome. Yep, just joined at 10:19.
Indeed.
Hello everyone. So hi Rehan, Yusuf this side. Actually, I just want to check like how we can log into integration study group channel. Just now, Hari has pasted in the link, but I could not able to join that link. There is no option to sign up.
There's some kind of a sign up link that's built. I'd have to look afterwards. That website has a sign up link on it though.
Okay.
And that's we're gonna put it on YouTube also. If you come, you can ask questions. But I'm just trying to give people here's how you get started making Mule SDK code. So that'll be this afternoon, and I will post the link to the video in the AI chain Slack after.
Sure.
Yeah.
And
very good.
And do we have any plan to like a kind of a agile way of connectivity, like connecting this team or our group more, like kind of a bi-weekly, and say okay, like if someone has done something progress, okay, how they have done it, what problem they find, how they resolved it, like because developers face some problems in using any connector. Okay, so what kind of problems are coming, what kind of solution is coming, share that knowledge and have that documentation available, so that when it comes to end-to-end practice by a normal developer, right, by a 2 years 3 years experienced developer, so they are not facing any issue, they are just going through, right?
Yeah.
So can we have a bi-weekly connect and say how someone is facing an issue, so how it is easier for a 2+ years or 3+ years developer?
That's a great idea. The core team had an open community meet going every 2 weeks for a long time, and it ended up stopping because nobody was coming. So this is the reboot of that, and we'd love to have something like that where it enables community members on a regular basis. I don't know who would lead it yet, so but that's certainly a good idea. Yeah. Good. Thanks for this. Is great. We're really. I mean, if we could get a few people really involved, that would be a big success in our eyes. Is to get the community. I want to do with this what like, wouldn't it be cool if what happens with this is what happened with Linux, right? Yeah. I can't see. I don't want to keep the floor if Victoria gets here. Somebody tell me when she gets here, because I know she has more to share with you guys about the core team.
I've just selected her, so
yeah, we could introduce people. We want to do some core team introductions. I think this is my meetup, so they probably know me. You guys want to introduce yourselves?
Sure. So this is Amir Khan. I'm MuleSoft solution engineer, and I've started this project back then. It's more than 1.5 years ago, and since then, we had certain solutions we promoted in the GitHub org and got great response. So product was looking to get some of these connectors certified, and with the time, we onboarded additional people, and one of our core developers, which I will hand over now to Tommaso, he took it then to the really enterprise level by making these connectors meeting best practices, because I'm not a Java developer, right? So I'm a dirty coder, and that's what I did just to implement the idea which I had. And Tommaso cleaned up what I made there, right? So over to you, Tommaso.
Thank you, Amir. Nice to meet you all. I'm Tommaso from Italy. I work as well as Amir as an SC, and I joined the Mac team almost 1 year ago. And so far, I've been focusing more on the connector development side, especially on the vector connector that has been recently certified by our engineering teams. And then I moved. I'm covering a lot of things from documentation, demos, and other stuff. So happy to be here and happy to have you contributing to our team because believe me, it's hard to keep the pace of Amir on a daily basis.
I think it's very hard to keep the pace of the market, right, Tommaso? We are struggling. We are struggling there. So every contribution here would be very beneficial. And also our chief now joined. I saw her name on the attendees list. So Victoria.
Hello, team. My name is Victoria Kotick, and I've had the pleasure of being part of the MuleSoft AI chain / Mule chain community for over a year now. Wow, time flies when you're having fun. But I've been working really closely with Amir and Tommaso and Ryan and so many. I think I'm actually seeing some names from the previous meetings as well here. And it's been an absolute pleasure, especially seeing all the different work that has been put into this project, both from development, right, releasing these connectors, releasing all the new functionality, but also all the amazing content that everybody has been developing, whether it is writing up an article about the functionality that's coming out, whether it was creating demos, whether it was even raising issues, right, testing out and breaking the connectors. We really appreciated all the effort that you guys have put into the community, and we are excited to really put in a lot of love back and make sure there's a little bit more standard and structure. And that's where we brought in Ryan, and I know that you guys have been working really closely with him. So he's going to help us make sure that we are the best open source community out there. Right, Ryan?
Yeah, that's the idea. We and it's going to take, I can't do much except invite others and try to organize you guys. The open source community is made of many people, so this is the beginning to see how that's going to work. So I did my I know did you want to, you had some issues you wanted to show, some specifics that are like top of mind and present?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So let me kick it off. I hope everybody's able to see my screen. I know that Ryan had a much nicer prezi than I did, but I wanted to make it MuleSoft AI chain theme. So if you're new to the community, we had a lot of our own little mascots as we have developed, as we have developed all of these different connectors to represent all different things. And I wanted to include them throughout the presentation. So to start off, I also wanted to, again, just reiterate a huge thank you to our community for everything you guys have done, being with us every step of the way, and also pushing us to continue to get all of these functionalities, whether they're productized into the open source code, whether it's into our website. Like, thank you so much for joining us on this journey. And now, top of mind for the developers. So we have a ton of different connectors that Ryan went through, and we wanted to bring up some of the things that we have thought about including in the next couple of releases, what we really want to focus on. And let's start out with the inference connector. I'm going to actually pass it, Amir, to you because you're the one that oversees a lot of the connector functionality that's been released.
So thank you, Victoria. So inference connector, the idea is to really provide one connector which is able to access different LLM endpoints and make a unification layer on top of it. So as different LLM APIs accept different requests and provide different responses, they have tooling APIs. So inference connectors' goal is to really unify from the MuleSoft point of view that communication to those LLM APIs and add additional intelligence on top of it. There are some things we are currently missing, of course. Currently, we are supporting, I think, 28 plus LLM providers, inference provider APIs with the chat completion majorly as an endpoint, but we would like to grow the list, right? So we want to be in a place where we can integrate almost any LLM providers. We are also looking into providing custom endpoints through the OpenAI compatible endpoints, which you can also bring in the inference connector. So this is one of our enhancement we are looking for to grow the inference providers. There was also something on the semantic caching. Explore if this could be something we can add into the inference connector, or would that be something we should be able to keep in the Mule app, for instance, like with object store and so on, and combining some additional Java code capabilities. But I would think it belongs to the connector itself, as we have the LLM interaction there. And streaming support currently, unfortunately, this is something we have so long pushed away from us. These connectors, or this inference connector, is not able to stream the responses. It's really, you send, you wait, and the LLM is going to reply. So if we can enable a streaming support, that would be really cool. So these are the top three features or enhancement we are looking at.
There's a question in the chat. Is the inference connector LangChain for J or pure APIs?
Ajay, thanks for this question. So the first connector, which was the AI chain connector, that was purely based on the LangChain for J. But if we would have continued to use the LangChain for J framework to support LLM interaction, we would have never grown to a number like today with 28 plus LLM providers, because it doesn't support that many. And we wanted to give the possibility to support the newest models, newest inference providers, and have a freedom to develop ourselves and not rely on a framework, which actually was great, right? So without LangChain for J, we wouldn't be here. That's the first thing I want to mention, and really appreciate that we were able to use them. But now going forward, inference connector is built on our own Java code, so it's our own LangChain for J, LangChain for Mule, which allows you to interact with different LLM providers. And Bera is mentioning a great point. It also contributed to the size of the first connector. So it's bloated based on the libraries you were using. And that was a second challenge we had. You couldn't deploy it on Cloud Hub 1 anymore. And also in some cases, if you wanted to have an application which integrates more than 3-4 of the LLM providers, that would be very difficult to integrate and deploy even on Cloud Hub 2. So we got rid of the framework, but now with this inference approach, we are directly accessing the APIs, implementing our logic in the connector to unify the input and outputs. Is it possible to use the connector in the Java ecosystem? No, I think it's only made for the Mule ecosystem.
Yes, it's tightly coupled to the Mule SDK and runtime.
Right. Yeah, I think I'll take that question a little more. Karim's question is good. Like, part of the value of these connectors is it makes the Mule, what makes Mule powerful, it attaches that to the AI APIs. So the semantic caching and the streaming support are great examples of where something Mule already does, like streaming, would be nice to have with AI and with LLMs, right? So that's the whole point of the connectors is so that we get the value of Mule. Yeah.
The nice update, there is also a nice update on the streaming side, because we are going to soon release it for the Bedrock connector. So that connector will be soon able to stream the answer back to the user.
Yeah, and that's a nice thing about having the Forge. I have streaming in the Redis connector already. So if you're working on one connector and you can see the code from another connector, I learned most of what I learned about Mule SDK by looking at other connectors after reading the documentation. So we can cross-pollinate.
Absolutely. And I think with that, Tommaso, next section is going to be the vectors connector. So I'm going to also pass it over to you as you lead the charge on it.
Okay, let me first share that this connector went through multiple refactoring across the last months. So And coming back to the LangChain4j topic, this connector is still leveraging the LangChain4j, let's say, framework for the vector store part, let's say, because we thought that building from scratch support for all the vector store available on the market is quite a huge effort. So we still see the value of, let's say, fully leveraging LangChain4j for the vector side. This connector is, let's say, let me provide a little bit of context, is organized into 3 major areas for now. So there is one which is only part of the open source project, which is attaching to specific data sources like Amazon S3, Azure Blob Storage, Google Cloud Storage. This part has been, let's say, removed from the productized version because we have a dedicated connector for that. But the rest of the connector is also part of the, let's say, productized version. And we have transformation operation, which are about parsing the document and extracting the text, plus chunking the document. Then we have support for embedding models. We support different providers, both text providers, let's say text models, text embedding models, and also multimodal models. And let's say a huge list of embedded store or vector stores, like as you want to call them. Here you see some of the things we would like to work on. So, of course, supporting additional vector stores. We have people opening GitHub issues asking for things like, okay, I just saw that LangChain4j added support for one more. Can you add it also to your connectors? This is happening all the time. And also, since we are relying upon the LangChain4j framework, we need to keep all the dependencies updated, even because they are still partially in beta. So as soon as they are going out from the beta program for all the supported services, we need to do the same. Then we have, of course, we want to keep adding new multimodal embedding models and text embedding models. So far on the multimodal side, we only support images, but we think we should also add the support for audio and video. And there is a lot of things that can be done on the transformation side. The one you see mentioned as the last bullet point is one of the possible use cases, which is about handling documents containing images, which is quite challenging because you want to keep track of where the image was within the document, because there could be a relation between the position where the image is located and the text around the image. So things like that. And also on the chunking side, now we are implementing a base chunking, but there are so many strategies you can implement that are not covered by the connector. And so there is room for improvements everywhere in this connector. If there is no question here, we can move on.
Yeah, I think there's going to be always room for improvement, especially with the AI landscaping always changing constantly. But I think, especially now, this connector has been added to the official product exchange. There's also additional support there, and we're really looking forward to all the innovation and what else that is needed from the field to start adding and start on it, building things out and seeing what is possible and pushing MuleSoft again to the limit, right? How we did with the original connectors as well. So I think the next one is going to be focusing on Bedrock connector. Oh, actually, there's a really great question from Ajay in the chat around support for UTCP. I know that this has been a huge discussion for us as well, Amir, Tommaso. So I'm gonna let you guys.
So we have certain discussions internally to look at it, and people are looking at it. I will not mention any department or team, but also, we will have in 2 weeks, I have another follow-up with a person internally, and after that we are going to see if maybe the open source team, the Mac team, is going to look at it if nobody else does, because we see it as crucial for the success of AI tooling part. MuleSoft is supporting right now MCP, which is great for semantic enabling and building semantic as products. But UTCP has its value in leveraging what you have in your ecosystem, and trying to not add a layer on top of it in terms of implementation, but reuse everything you have. And it's also very close to the way LLM used to work with function calling. So UTCP is from the protocol type super close to that approach, which I guess is also beneficial. No translation needed.
Let me also add that as MuleSoft, we truly believe that we should support any protocol that is, let's say, is getting traction on the market. So we did that for the MCP, but also on the agent side of things. Now we have support for A2A, but if for any reason at some point there will be another protocol which is, let's say, relevant, of course we can consider covering that as well.
Yeah.
But I think UTCP doesn't have the Java SDK, right? As far as I know.
Okay.
At least
not yet. I think when we checked it, Java wasn't among the.
It's not yet there, but it's not about the. Yeah, of course, it is about the Java SDK as well. But I think it's the approach which is different here. The way to look at available tools and making them agent ready is different than what you can do with MCP, and that shouldn't be a big thing to solve. If no Java SDK exists, they have a specification. You can implement according to a specification to cover that point.
Yeah, I think the question is great, because I think something that's very encouraging to me about this partnership is if one of you guys makes something like a UTCP or whatever the next one is, and then MuleSoft product decides to make one, there's a chance to collaborate where we don't waste our time building something that we're not going to keep, right? Or we can kind of like time our development in a way so that the way since we're tied into internal MuleSoft people from in the community, we're not operating in the dark. So this is a great opportunity for us to prioritize our open source efforts, right? So if MuleSoft's not going to get around to it for 2 years, why don't we make one, right? But if they're going to get it done in 2 months, maybe we shouldn't waste our time, right?
Yeah, and I think that we are able to gauge what that roadmap will look like. So exactly what you're saying, Ryan, we could prioritize what functionality open source should be focusing on versus what is coming around, around the corner. So you don't have to look at that. I think that is going to be it for the Bedrock connector, right, Amir? Actually, no, you didn't go through the Bedrock connector. Sorry. We went into a different direction. So I think I'm going to, again, pass it over to you for the focus of what we're trying to bring into the Bedrock connector in next coming months.
Yeah, so again, this connector is not certified, right? But still on our slides, it's in the repositories. So it is growing. It is getting improved. So recently, Chu and Shumun from the core team did some great improvement, including the streaming part and solved some memory issues there. So here we have, of course, I heard that Bedrock is going to release a new model very soon, or they have already announced it. So next to Nova, which was the latest one, we should be looking into supporting those new models as well. And Bedrock offers much more capabilities than just the foundation models and access to agents. It also provides out-of-the-box access to knowledge bases. Could be also something like internal knowledge bases, which has been created in Bedrock to expose them via connector and make them available in your agentic ecosystem. So other agents maybe who want to leverage that knowledge base can leverage it. That would be one of the drivers there. And of course, enhancing existing operations. So there are several GitHub issues open, which you can explore. But this is also one of the connectors, I think, where many customers are using in terms of the ecosystem for building agents, Bedrock. And this connector I believe it's also used already by some of the customers who are integrating with the existing Bedrock landscape using this connector, even it's not an officially supported connector. So again, to iterate back, if there is a UTCP demand growing and the community comes up with a support to it, yeah, I think that that's still a valid option. Yeah. Right, Victoria, back to you.
Yeah, actually, I want to quickly, Shuman is here online too. As you were saying, Amir, he has done a phenomenal job with Chu, bringing a lot of these functionalities and refactoring this connector a lot. So I want to pass it over to him to make a quick introduction as well.
Hey, thanks so much, Victoria, Amir, and everybody, Ryan as well. Nice to meet everyone. My name is Shuman Sharif. I am with the MuleSoft Professional Services team. And I absolutely love the Mac connectors. We've used them personally on many projects so far. So I enjoy contributing to them. As Amir mentioned, I'm working with Bedrock a little more recently, as well as the web crawler connectors. Thank you.
Yeah, and Shuman has seen a lot of these connectors, the open source specifically connectors in action. Customers are using them. We're seeing them across the field. So the contribution that you're going to be providing is going to have significant impact, and Shuman is experiencing it firsthand on the front lines as well. And additionally, like he mentioned, he's also very involved in the web crawler connector. Today, we're not going to have updates for that one, just yet. However, we will also have kind of the top of mind roadmap around web crawler connector, and additionally highlight there is, talks about what the future of that is going to look like within the project as well. So a lot of exciting things happening around that connector.
Are we getting away from the file system?
I am. I don't know, Shuman. That's
You mean for the web crawler?
Yeah.
Why? What's wrong there?
Nothing's wrong. I was curious I was guessing about the roadmap. I would love to just have Mule events instead of files. But
file system, gotcha. Makes sense. Yeah.
But just to add on this, that the web crawler has been very popular in the community. It's unfortunately skipped for whatever reason in the official support, but that's being reopened now. And talking to many of you, which I see are also in the call, there was the request to have authentication in place, and that's something which Shuman has recently added for different approaches, basic authentication, OAuths, and providing example. So now you can even crawl on websites which have a login required, right? And that's really cool.
Yeah, amazing work. And it's already, again, being pushed to the limits by the field, trying to do all different amazing use cases. So I think this kind of goes really well into what is like top of mind for you guys. Please come off mute. I'm going to write it down. And also we're going to share this deck. So you're going to have all the links, all the content that we went through. You're going to be able to see all the different issues that were listed on the previous slides as well. If you want to go and take a look and also start reviewing, hey, maybe I'm interested in solving this specific problem. So anything top of mind that you think we should be exploring as a MuleSoft AI chain open source community? And if you don't, this is why we also have the Slack channel. So we could always throw in things as they come along or pass it over to Ryan, myself, Tommaso, Amir. We're all in that channel as well. So maybe I'm putting people a little bit on the spot here.
I mean, if you've gotten, there's two ways to think about that. If you've gotten into it and you're like, hey, why is the connector like this? That's what we're talking about. So let's start with that.
Yeah. So the other part, besides building out and doing development, we also wanted to highlight for a lot of our muleys around content creation. So in the last 3 years, in the last year, it feels like 3 years. In the last year, we have done multitude of different types of content creation, whether it's been videos. So hopefully if you have tried to build anything out with any of the MuleSoft AI chain connectors, and you go into the Google search or your chat GPTs and you say, how do I configure the connector? There's a beautiful video, most likely done by either Amir or Tommaso, about how to configure the connector, how to use it, and things like that. But additionally, we've had a lot of different demos, use cases that were built out both by our internal team, but also by the community. And we would love to share it. So if you are building something out, leveraging these connectors, whether they're open source or project or already productized ones, please share them with us. We want to highlight it. We want to share it with our audience. We want to make sure that they're put in front of the right eyes. And same with articles, whether it is reviewing the different operations that are coming out with the connectors and different support, or it's even building out your own projects and how intuitive it is, or even comparing, right? Like how you've done it across different platforms. Please let us know. We would love to share additionally all of those different types of articles. And lastly, we have our own website where we do a lot of the documentation. So especially if you're contributing in the development, we would love to highlight the work that you have done and the different operations you've released. So we would love to also include the documentation of all the different changes onto our official website, and then also have examples of those features live in action. So we would want to include those as well on our page. So these are a couple of different ways that you're able to contribute to. I see there's a couple of questions coming in the chat. Ryan, anything specific to this or other side conversation?
The templates would be relevant to the demos. I think there was a question about, are we going to push templates to AnyPoint Exchange?
So that has been a conversation. I think that we are exploring that, especially with vectors. I know there's been a lot of asks of, hey, how do we do, standard RAG? How do we do advanced RAG? How do we do all of those things? And there has been a conversation around templates. So that's definitely something that we could explore to make sure that there's a pathway to get that published into Exchange. And
that was big news, but everybody, I hadn't heard that till right now. So everybody, we just had that there's a pathway to Exchange for the demos is awesome. That's great news.
I wouldn't say demos. I would say specifically templates. Yes.
Maybe I can also share my thoughts on this. So the templates which are promoted and available on the GitHub example repo, I think GitHub is a great source for keeping those templates, especially in the current age where things are changing so frequently. Also in terms of connector approaches, how agentic RAG work, how standard and advanced RAG work. There are new templates coming up, new approaches. So I think GitHub is a good place to keep those and evolving those there, while as connectors are something we can push into Exchange and publish there. Having those templates, of course, in Exchange is also beneficial, but the feedback loop and the agility will be lost if we rely on Exchange to be certified for those templates. So I feel like GitHub is the best source to keep them and keep them alive as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And we already have some of them built out, so you're able to add additionally to that specific branch. So it's not going to be directly part of the connectors. They have their own ecosystem. All right. And again, I wanted to say we want to feature you and all the things that you're doing. So whether it is, again, doing any type of updates to any of the connectors, we want to start really promoting all of these things within our LinkedIn groups. We have multitude of different members, both from the open source community, from different, enterprises, different architects that have joined. We have obviously our MuleSoft community in there, but we want to get all of this in front of the right eyes, the people that have the same interests, and highlight all the work that you have been doing. So if you're doing any of demos, any articles, any type of updates, any type of connector, again, any updates of connector features, please, please, please let us know. And if you're not seeing any posts, ping me directly and let me know. I will make sure that you are highlighted on this LinkedIn page. And additionally, if you join the Slack community page, you're able to just DM me in Slack and be able to provide all of those things. I'll make sure it's up and running and showcasing everything. And same things with the website. We want to make sure that you're highlighted everywhere. And again, I think there's a couple of asks around resources and links. All of that will be also shared within the Slack. And I will make sure that you're also getting links to, the LinkedIn group and also to our Mac website as well. And the channel, yes, the YouTube channel. I think that has been a huge highlight. We've gotten, thousands of views across different use cases, demos. So it's been a fantastic opportunity to really show things in action, not just, releasing different technical updates. All right. And lastly, we want to know if you're coming to Dreamforce. We want to do a meetup. We want to make sure that we're seeing you there. We're able to take nice, cool photos. And I'm not promising anything, but maybe there's going to be a little fun MuleSoft AI chain exclusive items that you would be only able to get at Dreamforce. So make sure that you let us know if you're coming. We want to see you. We want to hang out with you. And we want to hear what, top of mind for you as well. So yeah, again, thank you guys so much. We really, really appreciate you. And also let us know what you want from these meetings. Do you want to see what we're doing? You want to see things in action? You want to talk about what is in the AI ecosystem and what's top of mind? We really, really want to bring all of this together. And I'm going to pass it over back to you, Ryan.
Well, thank you. I was trying to figure out if that coffee was on the panda's belly or not. It's like, it looks like it's balancing on there. This is great. I love the art. The mascots this is news for me too. I don't know. Maybe I wasn't paying attention, but yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, let's do the picture's a great idea before we close. I haven't booked any travel, but I guess it sounds like I better go to Dreamforce. So I might be there with you guys if they don't have any travel yet. But that sounds like a great meetup. So for us to do I'm going to take it off the recording before we do the picture. That way more people feel willing to come on camera. So thank you everybody who's watching the video. I'm going to say goodbye to the video viewers now.